Oh my goodness!
Hey,
here we are. I'm always so shocked. It's January. It's January 27th. I can't believe it's the end of January. It's our last show of January.
It is. We're going to be moving into February, and February is perhaps the greatest month of the year.
Because it's the shortest?
No, because it's got my birthday in it.
Oh, and Josh's birthday.
Oh, Josh's birthday.
That's right. Yours is my 6-month birthday.
That's right. Yeah.
Josh's birthday's coming up, and I'm not going to be here next week now that I think about it. I'm going to be in DC.
Oh, you're in. Oh, okay.
So I think we'll take next week off.
All right, we'll take next week off.
So you got a whole month. We're like Saturday Night Live. You get 3 in a row, and then we take one off. 3 in a row, and you take one off.
Take one off. Okay.
So welcome to CarYada, where we talk about cars, yada, yada, yada. We are here every Saturday, except next Saturday. I mean, maybe I could do it now. 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon in DC. We'll be doing stuff.
Well, okay. Good morning from Bob.
Oh no, it says, good morning, fellers.
Yeah.
This is Bob's wife.
Oh, Charlie.
He can't be with me today.
Oh, Sherry.
He's intently awaiting the start of the Rolex 24 at Daytona. Have a nice day.
Okay.
Well, that was nice.
That was nice of her.
Tuned in to let us know.
I'm looking at that and see, it looked like it said Charlie. I'm thinking, Charlie? Wait, who's that?
Sherry, yes. We have trouble with it.
Sherry's a wonderful, wonderful gal. First off, she gets enormous points for having been married to Bob for as long as she has been. And Bob buys a lot of cars.
Okay.
That
he's down in SoCal?
Yeah,
NorCal?
NorCal. Yeah.
NorCal, SoCal.
That are essentially Bob's taste, and he ends up spending years sometimes convincing her that the car is good, and then eventually sells it.
Well, yeah. Well, that's part of what I want to talk about today too.
Okay.
Our opening bit, as they call it. Every once in a while I buy something that I want to restore and maybe sell or maybe drive.
Sure.
And you get into this point where there's certain go-to parts you're always going to need.
Yep.
You're going to need a center cap for the wheel.
Oh,
you're going to need a knob for the radio.
Right.
You're going to need a new antenna. Just these unusual things. So, and I want to get your opinion on this, but I'll tell you what I do first, because I start searching, and usually eBay and Amazon are my friend to start.
Yes.
I start there because Amazon, you might be able to find, it won't necessarily be new old stock, but you'll find replacement parts.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of companies will list their stuff on Amazon.
Right.
But if you want like new old stock, NOS,
right,
then you go on eBay typically.
Yeah.
But there's Rock Auto.
Mm-hmm.
There's your local O'Reilly.
Sure.
O'Reilly.
Pep Boys.
Parts. Napa. You've got different places you can go to find certain things.
Yes.
Dorman products. They make a lot of replacement parts for little trim pieces. And I remember my dad's auto parts store. He had a big Dorman display, which was mainly, I just remember being springs and knobs.
Okay.
Springs and knobs. You shouldn't do that. It's tuned in Tokyo. Adam Jones says, "Good morning, fellow Yadians."
Yes, we are here yachting away.
Saw Adam on Saturday. We'll see him again tonight at the comedy show at the Roxy in Bremerton. Are you coming? You can have dinner. Great restaurant.
Possible.
All right.
Possible.
You're on the list if you want to come by.
All right.
I might as well. Adam's on the list too. I told him bring some friends because it's a much bigger theater than BPA. BPA was sold out. Although people left at intermission, which always boggles my mind.
What does that have to do with cars?
$18. Oh, sorry. So you're looking for a rare part. Now, I don't know, and I haven't been able to find. I haven't looked far enough, but you might have an answer here. Is there a definitive source for new old stock parts?
Well, yes, but the answer is divisional. So if you need, for example, new old stock parts from the Chevrolet pickup truck, 40s to 70s, then there is a very specific place that you would go to get that. If you needed stuff for your Shelby, you would go to Tony Branda, or you'd go to a Mustang specialty shop. And so there are, if you search, you'll find there are Mopar parts. There are very specific muscle car reproduction parts companies that also sell new old stock. Now, new old stock goes away generally after 10 years. The dealers, I believe, are required to keep new old stock parts on their shelf for 10 years. So if you have a 2013 car, the dealer is now moving those parts that they used to keep on hand to service their vehicles. They're now moving them to tier 2 retailers that will then take those parts and sell them as a secondary parts opportunity, but they will also take those parts and look for which pieces are frequently coming back or frequently getting called for, and they'll go to tier 2 supplier, excuse me, tier 2 suppliers that will manufacture them and make them available because the demand is still high.
Now, true new old stock, though, I'm talking about like in a barn. Somebody goes in, they find a guy had bought up all the spark plugs. Spark plugs are a bad example. All the headlight bezels.
Yes.
Because he broke one, and he's like, these things break all the time. And he bought 50 of them, let's just say, as an example. So he's got a case of 50. These are brand new, never put on. GM stickers are on it. Let's say it's from a Cadillac. That's why he's put up a Cadillac. Like, I guess, because I Googled Cadillac, and like here's 50 lower grill extension, $7,400.
Yeah. So that's new old stock.
This is brand new stuff.
Yes.
That's never been put on a car.
Right.
It's old stock.
Right.
But it's a new part.
Right. But now here's what's important to remember about new old stock. These look beautiful because cosmetically they're in excellent shape. But oftentimes with very old new old stock parts, there's a reason they've not been sold. And most of the time that has to do with the fact that they were delivered to a customer, they put them on, they didn't fit because there's some sort of torque or twist or something odd about it. The holes that mounted are too large, or they got bored out too many times when someone was trying to fit them. And so new old stock sometimes doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually going to work. It's just that it's never been on a car. And a lot of people get excited about that because they think, wow, this is true for a lot of electronic parts as well. Which may have some internal problems that have not yet been discovered, including, I think the term is spider webbing for soldering. That sometimes creeps out and then ends up connecting in areas it's not supposed to connect. Levers and switches for mechanical, electrical. Sometimes the contact breaks internally, and the only way to get to it is to break open the unit itself, and that requires rebuilding.
Now, I don't know if you saw what this is.
Oh, what is that?
Good. This is Stump Raffi time.
Oh,
hold on. Let's turn this into an actual Stump Raffi, because why not? We don't get to do it often. Here we go.
And now it's time to Stump Raffi.
Okay.
You can look here too, a little closer, but.
So so scale is bothering me a little bit here, because this could be a finger type toggle switch, or it could be a turn indicator side switch. My first guess is because the chrome shaft, the lever shaft, looks to be short. It looks like a toggle switch, but the throw on it looks large. So I'm going to go with a General Motors 50s era turn indicator paddle.
It is a heater defroster control switch.
Okay.
1940 Cadillac.
40 Cadillac. Okay.
All right. Well, it's close. I guess we kind of stumped you, but we also didn't. It was used either as heater switch or the defroster switch. Apparently, you could use either. It's all models of the Cadillac equipped with optional dual ventilating defrosting heating system.
Yeah. See, and it's
$325. This is a brand new part.
Yes.
That was never in a car.
Right. And if you were to remanufacture that part today, you would have to do the die cast metal as a separate casting for the lever, Then you would have to do the, although minor tooling for the actual electronics and mechanism inside. You'd have to do anywhere between 500 and 700 pieces to amortize the cost of your tooling so that you could make it available for less than that. And the demand for that particular switch, there might be today 50 people in the entire world that wants one.
It's a small market.
Yes. So you'd never sell 500. So then you'd have to look at things like 3D printing and CNC to do the pieces. And so the unit cost goes up because your per part cost to manufacture also goes
I
up.
mean, look at this one. This is a windshield washer bottle, $525.
Yeah, and this is a very difficult part to manufacture because it's a large plastic piece, probably about 7 to 8 inches, and the drum of it also is pretty deep, the diameter. So to make the tool for that, you have to do steel or aluminum, or you could use a phenolic to get that size. But it's a large tool, and then that's molded with blow molding is what's used to make it, and so it's very expensive to be able to make that part.
You say that's some interesting stuff.
Yeah, and what's fascinating about new old stock parts again is even many people buy them and don't even put them in their car. They buy them and they'll display them, or they'll have them with the car because the rest of the car is only just nice, and they don't want this beautiful $700 new old stock part on their car because it's going to get ruined. So there's a lot of concern about that when people buy the new old stock parts and don't put them on their car.
Yeah. Now, we've got a couple things in the comments. One is a major story I also want to touch on. I'll get to that in a second. But Ray, our good friend Ray Pepper, is now on TikTok, known as Radical Ray.
Oh, there you go.
And one of his videos got 100,000 views. And of course, the auction has now said, no, you can't come here anymore and do that.
Oh, because
everything's a piece of shit. That's a piece of shit. That's a piece of shit. That's a piece of shit. And at some point, the dealers who have those cars, they're like, hey, that's my car in the video. Ray's not wrong. There are certain cars that you're like,
oh my goodness.
And Ray has another point, which is the next thing I want to talk about.
Ray should get that gets a Ray score of 4. That way he's not actually saying that it's a POS. He can say.
Right. A 0 is a POS.
Yeah, the Ray POS score. If I give it a 4, that means if you got to buy a car and you can't get away from it this way.
Yeah. 4 is like a regular shit. Like a 0 would be like diarrhea.
A giant.
like projectile vomiting out your... Anyway, so Dan says it took him a while to find a new replacement brake proportioning valve for an older S10.
Yeah.
And I'm imagining you can find old stock, but yeah, if you're trying to go as original as possible. Now, the thing that I want to bring up, my second little opening story, Ray brought up a really good point. You guys have heard of Northwest Motorsports.
Oh, yeah.
They went out of business this week.
Oh, they did?
They had 14 locations originally.
Wow.
They sold to Sonic Automotive for some astronomical number, like $900 million. Some ridiculous number.
That was a while ago.
2 years ago.
2 years, okay. That is a while ago.
Jay Bruner, the baseball player.
Baseball guy, yeah.
He was a minority owner of it, a very small percentage from what I understand, but he was like their spokesperson.
Okay.
They were trucks, and more trucks.
Yeah.
And they advertised, they were huge.
Yeah.
And they sold, and 3 of the dealerships turned into Echo Park, which is like this online version, like this Carvana version that Sonic was trying to do. It almost all of them are gone now. They closed those 3. And this week, 11 more closed. The rest of them closed.
Yeah.
Laid off 140 plus employees. Vroom, gone this week.
Gone. Yeah.
So when I started at Tread, we had Vroom, Beepy, Pedal still there. That's a junk one. Shift, Fair, Blinker. You had all these different companies. All that's left now is Carvana, and Tread is now part of Auto Trader.
Yeah.
The rest are gone. There's some startups that are still trying it. Like, where do they realize it doesn't work?
So a lot of this happens with startups and the startup economy. you have to have many to begin with in order for people to recognize that there's buzz or
Right, you build a
agitation.
market.
Yeah, so and everybody knows that stuff is going to fall out. When the automobile industry first started to develop, there were over 1,000 car companies in the United States. And sure, some of them were only making 50, 60, 80 cars a year. But you needed that many to impress to everybody that this was the thing of the future. And so what's happening with a lot of this stuff is people are investing in it, thinking this is going to be the next greatest thing. And there's very little difference between a Carvana, a Vroom, and all these things until the company is run with a level of competition and understanding of how to position and how to buy and how to leverage and all of that stuff. And then one emerges or three emerge as leaders, and then they just vie for each other's turf, usually by buying.
Yeah. And what's funny too is like everybody's saying, oh, the traditional dealership is dead because of all these online dealers.
Yeah.
But I know we keep freezing. But all these online dealers just disappeared.
Yeah.
Now, Car Lots was the other one. That's a real POS. Car Lots was a online. It wasn't even an online. It was a physical dealership where you would you'd put your car in consignment. So you take your car to the lot. They'd clean it up. They'd mark it, but you had to pay like $1,000.
$1,000.
I think it was like $699 up front, and then $400 when it sold, or vice versa. And they started having locations all over the place. They went public and started getting money, and they're gone too. They got bought out by Shift.
Oh,
and then Shift went under.
Okay.
Adam says, from what he understood, Northwest Motorsports just up and shut down with little or no notice. Yeah. A dealer friend of mine said they were losing $1 million a month.
$1 million a month.
They're losing $1 million a month. So I guess when you're losing $1 million a month and you've already spent $900+ million, according to one of the articles I read, at some point you have to stop the bleeding. Now I'm guessing that $900 million included all the real estate. That's my guess.
Is there a lot of real estate?
There's 11 lots.
Wow.
And as Ray said, South Tacoma Way, Auburn Way, Puyallup, River Road, just vast wastelands of vacant former dealerships, which to me, I immediately say, well, good, we have someplace to shoot the sitcom. We need to rent one of those to use.
Sorry, I had a text come in from someone who texted me and said they're watching and listening, and they said, don't forget what happened in the Great Depression. And that's really interesting because during the Great Depression in 1928, and I should clarify because many people think the Great Depression was 2008.
I thought it was 29.
Well,
1929.
It started in 28.
Oh, yeah. It all starts, yeah.
So in 1929, everything crashed, stock market crashed. But what happened was cars that were extremely valuable became essentially worthless.
Yeah.
And so used car lots, which had been around, people they said, all of a sudden there were used car lots everywhere because people had to unload cars. And so a whole secondary industry developed for used cars in the late 20s and into the 30s. And that's really where we saw the growth of that business. And as a second industry was the buying and selling of used cars.
Oh, okay. And Adam asked a good question. Does all that inventory get sent to auction? Yes and no. It depends on, Sonic Automotive is the 6th largest auto group in the country. They do not own Sonic the restaurants.
Let's make that clear.
Or Sonic the Hedgehog. So they probably shifted those to other dealerships that they already own. That's most likely the case because they all need used cars. Chances are, as abrupt as it was to the public and to a lot of the employees, people at the upper management knew this for months. And they probably slowly were not buying as many cars. They probably were slowly letting cars go for super cheap at the auction just to get them out of their inventory.
Yeah.
And if they did what's called flooring, a floor plan, which is the cars are financed by a finance company, they might just turn the cars back into the finance company. So the auction, Ray will know in the next week or two.
Yeah.
As he goes to the auction, you'll see a whole lot more cars on it. Now, they used to sell some like 2,000 or 3,000 cars a month at Northwest Motorsports between all of their locations. They were the leader in this area. When I worked at Copart, they were one of my clients. I would buy cars for them, like the crappers, and send them to Copart.
So it'll. What's interesting about this type of thing is that it's all going to happen fairly quickly, and then it isn't going to matter,
right?
Because that volume of vehicles will find their home, will dissipate accordingly, and then the market will settle out. And you're not going to. You may be able to get some good quick deals in bulk purchases, possibly, but other than that, the market absorbs very, very quickly because everybody who's in it, they know how to move quickly and make things happen. So it'll happen very quickly. Hopefully, the Northwest vehicle sales market will not be dramatically impacted by it, especially the truck market, because they sell a lot of trucks here.
Yeah, they were they'd raise the trucks. You could buy your trucks lifted. And honestly, they sent a lot of them to Les Schwab.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was their
that was their go-to.
That was a big secret. It was just Les Schwab. But yeah, like I said, I don't know how many trucks were in stock at the time, but if let's say they had 1,000, with Sonic being the number 6 overall, they have hundreds of dealerships across the country that could all use those trucks.
And the Sonics are doing pretty well now too.
Some of them are.
Yeah.
Oh, the Supersonics.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't exist anymore. They might come back.
They might.
Climate Pledge Arena is ready for them.
There you go. How many cars could we get in Climate Pledge Arena?
4,233.
Is that your number?
No, I know.
Oh, you do?
No, I don't know.
we could ask our dedicated listeners. Yes. How many cars will fit, like the jelly bean in the jar?
That would be an interesting radio promotion.
There you go. How many cars can fit in the Climate Pledge?
We got a mile of cars. Remember used cars?
By volume. Imagine you stack them up till they get to the top of the arena.
That would ruin all the cars at the bottom. Just on the floor level.
Just the floor.
How many cars can you get in there?
The floor. Okay.
Anyway, so those are the two major topics I want to talk about today is finding parts for rare, unusual cars. I mentioned, you and I talked about that I don't know if I mentioned on the air, so maybe we should make it a mystery car. In 2
there
weeks,
you go.
We'll drive in that car.
Drive in that car.
We have a car coming in 2 weeks that match the tires. Maybe I did mention it.
You did mention it, but it was not. It was still speculative as to.
I found a car that matches the tires that I got by mistake for the Fiero. They sent 16s instead of 14s.
Yes.
And I've been trying to find a car that they would fit. And I did check with my mechanic. 205s or 215s will fit on a 225 wheel, no problem.
Yes.
It's only like
it's only a tiny little difference,
like 10 millimeters.
Yes.
I believe. So that's what's happening with that.
But it won't be next week.
No, we're going to take next week off.
Take it next week.
I'll be in Washington, D.C. Maybe I'll post a little video.
Yeah.
I'll take pictures of some cars when I'm there.
You seen politicians or vehicles?
Both. But yeah, so if you have any questions about buying, selling, trading, leasing, whatever, you can put it in the comments. Ray did send me an interesting text that I thought was really, really pretty crazy. Let me see. Where is it? Here it is.
Oh.
All right. Now let me share it up here. This is a funny story. And I want Ray to explain what the heck happened here. Window picture. Just the back end of it for some reason.
It's hard to see. Looks like a Toyota product.
It's a Toyota Sequoia. With a Lexus of Bellevue tag on it, which I have a feeling Ray puts those on all his cars. I don't know if that's a fact, though. Oh, by the way, he says he likes the name Raffi Motors.
There you go.
Not sure why. Can't keep my mind off of it.
You're welcome to use it, right?
I've got Dan Rosenberg Motors, DR Motors.
DR Motors.
drmotors.com. And there's actually a DR. There's some foreign company that uses DR.
Well, it's Dominican Republic.
Maybe. So the story behind this that Ray tells me is, he said, car of the week, 2007, 170,000 miles, two-wheel drive, excellent shape, $7,500. However, the buyer must pick it up in Reno at the Atlantis Hotel Casino. It's in the valet. I left it down there 6 months ago and haven't had time
Wow.
to get it.
Oh my goodness.
Ray, how much? No
How
wonder
much
it's
is gonna be
$7,500.
due? You probably owe $7,500 in fees.
Oh my God. Yeah, how much is that going to cost you to get it out of valet?
It's my vacation car.
He hasn't had time to go down and get it yet.
Oh my goodness. Hopefully that was
Wow.
I can't even, wow, 6 months worth of storage. We had a car at a friend's dealership that we finally sold, and it had been in storage for 29 years and 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, it had been stored there for almost 30 years. That was the record, and it sold. No free valet, just a $10 tip.
Wait, so you have 6 months of storage for $10? You should have all your cars there.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a great way to store cars. And the valet the key and just keep it clean. Wash it when I come get it. Before I come get it.
That reminds me of there's a story. A guy walks into a bank.
Yeah.
And he says, he's like a multimillionaire. And he says, I'd like to take out a small loan on my Ferrari.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy says, sir, I mean, why would you need to take, he goes, I need like a $5,000 loan. And he goes, well, I don't really know. I mean, we don't really do those kind of small loans. And he goes, well, what's the smallest loan you can do? He goes, well, we do 10,000 is the smallest we'll do. He goes, but you're going to pay, interest on it. He goes, well, I can pay you back in like 2 weeks. And he's like, well, how much would the interest be? He goes, well, 2 weeks for a $10,000 loan, amortize it, you get good credit, $112. He goes, all right, that's no problem. I'll be back in 2 weeks. He goes, and I'll leave the car here in your care. He goes, okay. So he comes back in 2 weeks. The guy goes, sir, he gets his car back. He goes, sir, you know where I'm going with this. He goes, sir, I don't understand. You're a multi-million. You have millions of dollars in your bank account. Why would you do that? He goes, where can I park my car in New York City for 2 weeks for $112?
Exactly.
So that's kind of what Ray did there. The Atlantis, which one is it? The Atlantis Hotel Casino.
There you
in
go.
Reno. If you're looking for a car,
yes,
fly down there.
Bring $10 for the
I would
valet.
tip the guy 20 because he's going to have to jump it to get it out.
$7,500 for it. Well, it's a Toyota. You may not have to jump it,
but a battery is a battery.
Well,
leave a car sitting for 6 months.
6 months is a long
parasitic
time.
Draw, they call it, Raffi. Parasitic draw.
Well, in a car like that, it's actually an older car. There's not that much parasitic draw.
Yeah, it's an 07. It's got a clock.
Yeah, but that's about it. It's not. It doesn't have all this complex, detailed software that's talking to your phone and turning your refrigerator on and all that ridiculous stuff like prepping the seat heaters and preheating your ignition and all that.
All right. All right. Fair enough. So if you have any other questions about buying, selling, trading, leasing, put them in the comments. Raffi, do you have an old school for us?
I do have an old school.
We're going to go old school, and then we'll come back to your questions afterwards. But first, let me get rid of that. Da-da-ding, da-ding, da-ding, ding, da-ding, ding, ding. Let's go old school.
All right, today we're going old school, and here's an old school that you might not think about, but offers great value, a little bit of style, and something a little bit of different that you don't often see on the road anymore today. And that is the first series Toyota Sienna minivan.
What?
Yeah, it's hard to believe. Now, this was called the Previa as well, but the first series Toyota van was done in the 80s. It's very angular. And now what you're pulling up is the second series one. We can go there. That's fine, because this one is actually a really nice design. There you go. This is a very nice design, which was done in development between Japan Designs for Toyota and Toyota's Calty Design Studios.
There it is.
This is a very advanced design for its time. And these cars were built late 80s, early 90s. And they were not only very, very fuel efficient for the size, but they were very efficient internally as well. They had the fold-down third row seats that could be removed and taken out completely. So you could increase the rear capacity if you had a family of 4 or 5. You could use that middle section rear seat. It had dual sliding doors, which was very helpful for loading from either side. And uh, uh, you could put additional storage on the top via the roof racks. Now, what was nice about the Previa was this vehicle was very affordable, and it was built with long lasting or durability and reliability in mind, like all Toyota product. But because this was Toyota's opportunity to really expand in the minivan market in the United States, they really upped the value of this vehicle. So you could get these with leather interior, nice options, uh, nice trim features. And so many of them went out into the market and people used them like regular vehicles. And so many of them wound up being used up and put away or sold to where there are very few of them remaining out in the market today. But if you like this style and you're looking for a vehicle that really can't be visually duplicated anymore because it's a pretty advanced design for the time, this is a great car to buy with low miles, excellent cosmetic condition, and you can pick them up for under $10,000. So if you're looking for a minivan and you want to have something that's stylish and unique, and there's a lot of them to choose from, I personally prefer the earlier series ones, but there's a lot to choose from in the model lineup. And the reason why I bring them up today for old school is because if you go to buy a contemporary minivan today, you're going to spend a minimum $45,000 to $50,000 for a new one. So you can really enjoy some substantial uh, cost savings by buying with the old school mentality. I'm going to get a vehicle that is not going to wipe me out financially, and it's still going to be utility oriented, very capable. And again, these things are so durable. They'll do 3, 4, 500,000 miles with no problem at all.
Here's a 91
91.
with 300,000 miles.
Yeah. And this is
$2,400.
$2,400. Now, if you buy it for $2,400 and you still have to put in a new engine and a new transmission, you're still going to get by with about $10,000 for your investment. But you can buy them with lower miles and excellent interiors, excellent cosmetics, and there might be a little bit more, but you'd be hard pressed to find one for over $10,000. And believe it or not, these are becoming quite attractive. Young people are finding these cars in excellent condition. They're buying them and they're using them as their regular vehicle because they have tremendous utility. They save you a lot of money, and you're going to have a lot of fun with them. Now, I've seen some young people take these, and you can see the configuration here for this particular.
This is the right-hand drive model.
Yeah, but you can see the configuration here. There's a lot of flexibility in the configurations. But I've seen where they gut the interior almost entirely, and they do kind of a camper type sleep arrangements in the back. And so there's a lot of opportunity that you can do to customize them. I've seen ones where they put big wheels and tires on them and turn them into modified performance vehicles. But whatever you decide to do with them, they are great, durable, long-lasting vehicles. And think about them the next time you're out on the road. I challenge you to find another one. They're rare now.
And here's an engine for $1,045.
There you go. Yep.
Imported directly from Japan.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can do a lot with these cars, and they will last a long time. And again, they're not expensive. And I think the design still holds up very well.
See, now you want me? Now I want a minivan.
Now you want
See what you do to me?
That's what happens when you go old school. What you realize is the old school idea with automobiles is it gets you out of your mindset where we got to get a new car. We got to get the latest in technology. We got to get all the latest and greatest, and but for all intents and purposes, the 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 peak of what you want from an automobile is reliability.
Yeah.
And you don't have to buy a new car to get reliability. You can get it through an old car. You can get it through a pre-owned car. You can get it through a car that might even have some mechanical problems, but you get it cheaply enough and you can invest into it and still come in well under the wire for buying a brand new one.
And as they always say, everyone drives a used car.
Yes, that's true. Because even a new one,
as soon as you drive it, it's now a used car. But yeah, I mean, I like having a new car because when I do drive, if I have to go to Tacoma or if I'm going out to do comedy, so I want to have a reliable car.
Yes, reliability is the key.
But like you're saying, if you have a 20-year-old car that's a Honda or a Toyota, and you've taken care of it and you make sure everything's working, the odds of it breaking down are probably about the same as a new car breaking, because every car, it's a piece of machinery.
That's right.
They're going to break down sometimes.
Right. But sometimes I tell people, I say, look, I've got a 20-year-old friend. I rely on that friend because I know everything about what I need to do. If I tell him, hey, we'll meet at 12 o'clock, I know that he's reliably late and he's going to be there at 12:15. I'll get there at 12:15. It's one of those things. It's like you're driving an old car. You make adjustments for some of the things that might not be perfect, right?
Right.
But it's still reliable. It's still getting you there.
You take care of your car will take care of you.
Sure.
All right, comments. We have Toyota minivans, Siennas 2, hand down. The best vans ever made. Not a piece of shit. So when Radical Ray does his videos, I wonder if I can pull one of his videos up. Then
yeah, there you go. They're great vehicles. First off, Toyota makes great product. They always have made really good cars. Even if you go back and see some of their older cars, some of their earliest vehicles, they're very, very well put together. The idea behind manufacturing in Japan, particularly 60s, 70s, 80s, very different methodology, process, and manufacturing systems, which automobile manufacturers, they have learned a lot from Japanese manufacturers, even though when you go back to the post-war period, right after the Second World War in the mid to late 40s, Japanese industry, automobile industry was fledgling. They looked to companies and experts to help them with their manufacturing, but they got all of their information for what they needed to do from a gentleman, I believe, by the name of Peter Drucker. And Drucker came to Japan and showed them new methodologies and new ways of approaching manufacturing, which helped them build the systems that would eventually surpass American manufacturing. One of their innovations was, I believe, Honda came up with the notion in the 80s that car manufacturers would have to stop the line from their prior build and convert the line, because new things require new tools and apparatus and robots and fixtures and all that. So they'd have to stop the line, stop making those cars, and then a couple of weeks would pass before they could get the new line put together to do the new cars. Honda figured out a way to do it without stopping the line. So they were able to go from the previous year to the current year.
That's why there's 4 years you can't tell what year it is. Is that 05 or 06 or 7 or 08? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The headlight is this way and the tail light is this way.
Yes, and if you look at some of the American cars from certain periods, you can see that there's a 1963 model and a 1964 model, and in between there's a 63 and a half model, where it's got some appearances that look 63 and some that look 64. That's a transition. That's about, and now collectors say, well, it's one of 400 transitional vehicles. They used to have Series 1 Jaguars and Series 2 Jaguars, the E-types. Now they Series 1.5 or Series 1.5, and now they even have Series 1.25 because they're like tightening up. This is one of the rare 230 Series 1.25 Jaguar E-Types.
Because we only had 200 left of this certain part.
Right.
and
So
we
we had to
replaced it
put
on
it.
the next one.
We put it on that one, and
It's interesting how things become collectors. Now, Ray says, I want to tell you, used car prices are dropping. Cars were retail last year 7 to 9K are now 6 to 8K. Lenders are getting very tough in lending used cars. Getting people financed for an $8,000 to $10,000 car is not easy anymore. There is some truth to that.
Yeah.
Interest rates are much higher, which is funny though. I saw an ad for 1985 Chevy ad online, and the manufacturer's special rate was 8.9%.
Yeah,
and that was super low back then.
And that's in 1985. Now today you can get lower interest rates than we've seen in the past for used cars.
Right, but you can't get what you were getting 5 years ago, 4 years ago,
3 years ago, 2 years ago.
I mean, I bought a car. I think it was 2.69.
Yeah,
or 2.75.
Well, I helped a friend during at the tail end of the COVID. We got 0% financing.
Yeah.
Dan also mentioned that he needed to replace a sliding door motor and cable on his stepson's Sienna, and
there it is.
It was a relatively easy fix, and that's another great thing about Toyotas. They are very, very well engineered, not just for their build, but for their maintenance. And that is not always the case in, like, for example, the American Chrysler minivan. Many of the Chrysler minivan series, the engine has to come out to do some very basic work. Very difficult to get in there and do some of the work you need to do on a 1990s era Chrysler minivan.
Well, that's what's great about the cars in the 50s, 60s, 70s. You could get in the engine bay with the engine.
Yes.
You can actually be standing in there working on it.
You can stand in there.
There's room around it. You can change spark plugs.
Yes.
Kind of easily.
Well, and with a car from the 50s or 60s, there's really only two things that are going to be wrong with it, fuel or electrical. And you can chase down fuel pretty easily because it's a line and a pump going to a carburetor.
Right.
And nowadays, you don't even bother rebuilding the carburetor. You just take the old one off and put a new, freshly rebuilt one on. And as long as your lines are clear and your fuel pump is operating, you're good to go. The rest of it is just, okay, it's not starting. How about the battery? How about the starter solenoid? How about the actual starter itself? How about the wires connecting all that stuff? And that's a half hour of diagnostics.
Yeah.
So, and then you're done. There's no computer. There's no detailed series of all kinds of wires and strange looking things that are complicating everything. There's no code reader. You know, your code reader is your eyeballs.
Tells you a lot.
Yeah.
Now, Dan says the only way to reach some stuff on a 69 Chevy pickup was to actually climb in it.
Yeah.
So that's true. And Ray, before I was going to pull up 0%, which I'll pull up in a second. Guys, I get asked all the time, what years did the CVT issues with Nissan and Ford get corrected? Or are they all still a piece of shit? The CVT transmissions are horrible.
Yeah,
all the cars.
You know, that's going to take a deeper dive. I don't know offhand, but certainly the earliest series ones I think were problematic from my memory. But I don't know at what stage they were able to improve them to the level where they had durability. Longevity on sort of new ideas in vehicle drivetrain is super, super key. Longevity on accessories and things like that, not as important, but drivetrain, you want to be sure that you've got durability in mind when you purchase a vehicle. Look for a car that has a proven engine, a proven drivetrain, and internal systems that are going to be probably 3-4 years of history behind it before you make your purchase.
So basically what you're saying is find a Toyota with a stick shift. That's your best bet.
There you go.
Now, Adam brings up a good question. I'm going to give you a moment to think about this.
Okay.
Adam says, are we going to get a Ferrari movie review from Raffi?
Oh.
Is it historically accurate? Was it well done, et cetera, et cetera? We can talk about that movie in a moment, But first, we were talking about interest rates. So I want to finish this thought. There are some 0% cars still out there. Most of them are last year's models. But what do you think? If you had to guess what some of them are, what would you think they are?
Some of the ones that are
0% right now. Like, what are they trying to move?
I would guess electric cars.
Really?
Yeah, that would be the first one in my mind.
My guess is there's not one electric car on this list.
Okay,
that's my guess. But you
SUVs,
make sense though. SUVs
and high-end four-door luxury sedans.
All right, so let's see. Oh, there's your first one.
Okay.
Ford Explorer.
Yeah.
0% for 36 months.
Okay.
2023 is only though, so it's last year's model.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see what comes up next.
Truck.
Nissan Titan. 0% for 60 months.
They must be tightening their belt.
Tightening. Mazda CX-5. That's an 04 though.
24.
I mean a 24.
Yeah.
0%.
Yeah. So another SUV.
All right. I hate when they make you click through each one.
There's your four-door sedan.
Nissan Altima. 0% for 36 on the SRVC Turbo model.
Oh.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the next one. Ford Edge.
Yeah.
0% for 5 years.
Another SUV.
Ford Expedition.
Another
0%
SUV.
for 3 years.
I think the Expedition's too big.
Okay, there you go.
What is this? I'm sorry, what is this, Dan? I'm sorry, what?
I forgot Subaru's. I forgot. I was thinking more established electric brands.
Okay.
Yes, the Subaru 0 for. Oh, that might be a good one to go look at.
Purchase, yeah,
0% for 72 months.
Wow.
Or lease it for $399 with $399 due at signing.
That's not bad. You lease for $399 with $399 at signing?
Wow.
I might have to look at that.
Yeah, or 0% for 6 years.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Maybe my next car will be a Subaru electric.
Subaru makes great automobiles.
Mitsubishi Outlander.
Okay.
I guess I could just push it up here. Hyundai Tucson.
That's pronounced Tucson.
Tucson. Did I tell you that story? I told you that story. I had somebody that worked for me that just moved to Arizona and said, I want to drive over to Tucson. I go, I think it's pronounced Tucson. No, I was saying Tucson. And they said, no, it's Tucson. I go, they're messing with you. There's another electric.
The
All
Mach-E.
right. The Mach-E, 0% for only 3 years.
Which I have to say, I don't highly recommend now.
It's had some problems.
They need to iron it out.
Ford Explorer.
Mm-hmm.
Mazda CX-30.
2 Mazdas on this list. Okay.
Ford Escape.
And several Fords. Interesting.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, so 2 out of 10 were electric.
All right.
I stand
corrected.
And the majority of them
were gas guzzlers.
Gas guzzling SUVs. So there you go.
Does anybody have an electric? I've only seen one on the road, the electric Subaru.
I've seen one on the road.
I think it's cross-made with Toyota, if I'm not mistaken.
It could be. There could be under license, some of the elements under license. So Adam asked about Ferrari. Ferrari, the movie, is actually a great depiction of 1957, a turning point year for Ferrari. Ferrari was primarily an automobile manufacturer to fund racing. Enzo Ferrari was a racer at heart,
right?
And so he needed to fund that habit. And anybody who races knows that there's only so much money you're going to win from winning the race itself. What you hope to do when your cars win is sell more cars to people that want them. And so Ferrari realized this and began manufacturing cars for customers. But he treated customers so poorly because he didn't want to be bothered with them. Once the cars were sold, he was done. And there's actually a very famous period in Ferrari's history in the late 50s, early 60s, when an industrialist by the name of Lamborghini comes to Ferrari frustrated because his car doesn't work properly.
And he was a tractor builder.
Tractor builder, yes. And so he goes back to Ferrari and he says, look, my car it's causing trouble. And they're not listening to him. They're just paying no attention to him. Finally, he drives the car over to Ferrari's And he says, I demand to speak to Enzo Ferrari. Enzo Ferrari comes out to speak with him. The two Italians get heated, and Lamborghini throws down the gauntlet and says, I'm telling you, this car doesn't operate properly, and you've got to fix it. You must fix it. And Enzo Ferrari says, look at you. What do you know? You're a tractor driver. And he says, you probably don't even know how to shift a car. And so, just imagine these two Italian mega, and Lamborghini storms off, leaves the car there, storms off and says, I'll show you who can make an automobile that is built to be and to Lamborghini's credit, his first cars were spectacular.
Yeah.
And of course he built the Miura, which was by all accounts at that time an unbelievable car. But let's go back to 57. 1957, Ferrari was in financial trouble. The movie paints the financial scenario more heavily tilted towards the romance between Ferrari and his wife. And of course, Ferrari had an affair, and the affair resulted in a child that eventually became the heir to the Ferrari throne. And the movie also spoke a little bit about their son Dino, who had died I believe the year earlier from a tragic illness, and he had lived long enough to be able to have engineering ideas about what he thought would be right in cars. And Dino was a big champion of mid-engine, six-cylinder, smaller capacity cars. But he and his father butt heads over what they thought would be correct. So Dino passed away. That put, of course, as it would with any marriage, some difficulties between the husband and wife. But his wife was very shrewd. Ferrari's wife was very shrewd, a sharper business person than Enzo himself. Enzo couldn't be bothered with a lot of
but she wanted to go fast.
Yes, but
zoom.
Yes. So the movie really focused on their relationship more than sort of the mechanics of what was happening. And of course, the tragic race, the Mille Miglia, which was the last year that they would have that race because 9 innocent spectators died in the crash. And of course, Ferrari was eventually...
And that scene was...
Oh, yes.
The movie was disgusting.
Yes, they should really not have lingered over it. But I think the reason they did was to emphasize how tragic it was and how awful automobile racing was, the complete lack of safety during that period. But I would say that the movie was probably 75% accurate in terms of the details and how things transpired. The movie was based on the book by Brock Yates, and Brock Yates is probably arguably one of the best automotive journalists of the 20th century. And the book was very accurate. And when it came out, there was a lot of negative about it, saying that some of this stuff doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound accurate. It couldn't possibly be true because it somewhat marred the Ferrari name. But over time, it stood up. And that book now is considered one of the best, if not the best, accounts of what happened in the early years of Ferrari. Now, today, of course, Ferrari moved from 57 into the 60s. Their battle between Ford and Ferrari, with the possibility that Ford might buy an interest in Ferrari, eventually receded to Fiat. And Fiat and Ferrari joined together and were working together in the mid to late 60s into the 70s. And continue with that relationship today.
So what would you give the movie? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
Oh, I give the movie a thumbs up.
I thought it was a great movie.
Yes, it was very well done. It was very intimate. The relationship stories were very tightly cropped. So you were really getting the interplay over the emotions of these two people together. You got the backstory of Enzo Ferrari and his family and his mother and his own tragedies. Playing on his persona. What we didn't get and what would have been really helpful would have gotten the backstory on his marriage and his wife to understand a little bit more about what shaped her as a young person.
And Penelope Cruz, I thought she did a good job.
I think she
playing
did
an
a
Italian
phenomenal
woman.
job. Phenomenal
And
job.
I think Adam Driver did a great job.
I think he did
and I
as
was
well.
in shock that there was nothing in the Academy Awards or in the Golden Globes or they got no awards.
Yeah, I don't think that movie had the global impact that, say, an Oppenheimer or a Barbie. Even though Ferrari is a major and well-known name, it's not a pervasive brand. Many people have.
But usually the Academy is usually these rare one-off, small films that I just thought maybe it did get nominated for visual effects. Now that I think about it, but
Well,
the visual effects were amazing.
Yes, unbelievable. And it was eligible this year, correct?
Oh yeah,
yeah. So
this had to be out by December 31st in New York or LA, I think.
Hmm.
All right. So in closing
already,
I know it's 10:55, and I've got to head to Bremerton to get ready for tonight's show. But advice to the world: refer to Radical Ray on TikTok before any future vehicle purchases. It's quite informative.
There you go.
If you go check out Radical Ray. Jake, hey, late to the part E, and we'll rewatch.
Good to see you, Jake. And want to remind everybody who's local, get out to Jake's and Jake's Pickup. He is open now. The grill is on
Monday to Friday,
11 to 2. And some amazing food there.
I've had 3 sandwiches, I think.
Yeah, I've had to up my gym time to match with that Jake's sandwich that he, oh my goodness, it was like
I just don't have dinner that day.
You just eat once.
Yeah.
Go to Jake's and eat once.
Adam says
he's saving you money.
If you want to watch a bad racing film, watch Driven with Sylvester Stallone. It's awful.
Yes, that was a very bad racing movie.
What is the name of Jake's restaurant? Jake's Pickup.
Jake's Pickup is the name, and it's located at the Chevron station, pretty much on the corner of 305. You got to make a turn to get there, but Jake's Pickup at the Chevron
I've
station.
told the story. So the first time we did the Seattle Comedy Competition, here at Bainbridge Performing Arts, I hosted it. I opened up with a joke about some of the comics were asking me, tell me a little bit more about Bainbridge Island. I said, well, we're the first place. We have a Starbucks in the parking lot of a Safeway, and in that Safeway is another Starbucks. And then we have a Chevron station, and across the street from that Chevron station is another Chevron station.
Yes.
And inside that Chevron station is the best restaurant on the island.
It is. I mean, the best food.
The food's fantastic.
It's the best food, and it's the best value for the food that you get.
Yeah,
because it's
not a sponsor, by the way. This is
it's just really
good to say this.
Good food.
But the funny thing was, one of the comics or one of the producers, somebody came up to me after the show and she goes, I work at a meat company over in Seattle.
Mm.
And she goes, we got a call from our driver, and they're like high-end quality meats.
Mm.
And she goes, I get a call from my driver. He's like, yeah, I'm supposed to deliver this stuff to this restaurant. I'm at a gas station. Am I at the right place?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are. So it's Jake's Pickups. Adam has had the Sconut.
Yes.
It's the home of the Sconut.
Yes.
It's not a donut. It's not a scone.
It's a Sconut.
It's a Sconut.
Yes, absolutely.
Ray will be at the show tonight.
Oh, okay.
He'll have on the Clutch Radio sweatshirt, which has become a collectible.
That is a collector's item now. Yes. Series 1.
Yes. And if you want to go to the show, by all means, it's Roxy Tix. Let me see. Did I put it up here anywhere?
It could be.
There it is.
There it is. Yep.
Forget the BPA Tix. That one already happened.
Yep.
Sold out. Thank
good
you very
show.
much.
Yeah. That was a good show.
Good crowd. RoxyTix.com for tonight's show if you want to grab tickets. Hopefully you can make it. It's in Bremerton. Downtown Bremerton is gorgeous.
Yes.
Restaurants, shops, theaters.
Yeah. And it should be Cyclone Bomb not quite starting yet.
Yeah, we were talking about all these new names. It used to be
Atmospheric River.
There used to be a blizzard, a thunderstorm, you had tornadoes.
Yes.
That's it. Now there's cyclone storms. There's
bomb cyclones, atmospheric river.
There's the Amy Polar something or other. Polar cone.
Yes. Polar vortex.
Yeah, the Amy Polar vortex.
The vortex.
It's nothing but back-to-back episodes of Parks and Rec. All right. Well, that's the show for today.
That is the show.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Next week we're going to be off because I will be in DC. So we'll be back the following week, and then we have Raffi's birthday coming up.
Yeah, it's a big event. Big event.
Big month.
Yes,
Big month.
huge.
Huge. All right. I'll play the ending, even though it's got the wrong information still. Eric, if you're watching, we need a new ending.